Today, we descend into the silent cold waters of two mysterious caves, each hiding a story of bravery and tragedy. Each twist and turn in the darkness brought them closer to the edge. Let's dive down and see how quickly things unraveled, and who, if anyone, made it back. John Mann, born in 1976, lived life on the edge. He craved excitement, whether racing his motorcycle or diving into the ocean's depths. Unlike many, John actively chased thrills others avoided. He started with local dives, but quickly set his sights on bigger challenges, pushing himself further in every way. Joining Brighton's British subaquatic club, BSAIC, opened new doors for John. There, he honed his skills and discovered rebreather diving. This method recycles exhaled air, removing carbon dioxide and adding oxygen. It allows for longer, quieter dives compared to traditional air tanks. Rebreather diving demands extreme precision in managing gas levels. Even small mistakes can lead to dangerous conditions like oxygen toxicity or hypoxia. John, ever the daredevil, embraced this complex technique. He soon found himself diving deeper and exploring wrecks most people only read about. John's adventurous spirit eventually led him to cave diving, a field few dare to enter. He explored underwater cave systems in the UK and France, adding a new level of thrill to his life. Cave diving combines all the risks of regular diving with the added threats of tight, dark, and confusing underground passages. One wrong move or equipment failure in these environments can prove fatal. As John delved deeper into cave diving, he crossed paths with legendary figures like John Valanthin. Valanthin's name became synonymous with elite cave exploration, especially after his heroic role in the 2018 Tom Luang cave rescue in Thailand. He helped save 12 boys and their soccer coach from a flooded cave. Such incredible feats only fueled John's passion further. He became more determined than ever to push his limits, explore uncharted cave systems, and test his skills against nature's most challenging underwater environments. John set his sights on the Source du Doubs in France, one of the most challenging caves. This cave, at the base of Mont d'Or, is known for its dangerous cold underwater passages. Its clear, icy waters and deep winding tunnels lured experienced cave divers. The Source du Doubs wasn't just another dive site. It stumped many skilled divers. Despite these dangers, the thrill of discovery pulled people like John to its depths. In 2007, John Valanthin made history by laying 145 meters, 476 feet of line in the cave, marking one of the farthest explored points. A year later, Andre Glore and Pedro Bardi pushed this line to an impressive 472 meters, 1,549 feet from the entrance, setting a new record. For John Mann, this wasn't the end, it was just the start. Fired up by these amazing feats, John decided to explore the cave himself. He teamed up with his close friends and trusted fellow divers, Charles Reed Henry and John Bannon. Together, they formed a group ready to tackle the cave's treacherous depths. Their bond, forged through shared diving experiences and a deep respect for the looming dangers, was strong. Before they even entered the water, worries surfaced. John's friends fretted about the bulky rebreather he planned to use for the dive. The cave's narrow, tight passages were notoriously hard to navigate, and using such a clunky piece of gear could spell trouble. Both Charles and John Bannon tried to change his mind, but John, known for his stubbornness, ignored their warnings. He trusted his skills and was eager to face the challenge head-on. Adding to the risk was John's physical condition. A motorcycle crash in 1998 had left him with a bad back injury that limited his flexibility and movement. Diving in tight spaces like those in the Source du Doubs would be tough enough for a healthy diver, but for someone with John's limitations, it was extra dangerous. Yet, facing these risks, John remained determined. On September 28, 2008, the expedition kicked off. John, Charles, and John Bannon plunged into the cold, dark waters of the Source du Doubs, each going their own way as they practiced autonomous diving. This meant that while they were a team, they would dive alone without relying on each other for help during the exploration. John plunged into the cave, the passages quickly narrowing and becoming harder to move through. His rebreather weighed him down, and his old injury made every move painful. About 13 meters in, he faced his first big test, a vertical crack called S1, leading to a shaft named S3. Going down this shaft felt like entering a pitch-black void. The water got colder, and he could barely see anything. His flashlight barely cut through the thick darkness. As he went deeper, things got tougher. Sharp, fossil-covered rocks covered the floor, threatening to rip his gear. The passage got so tight that every inch was a struggle. The walls seemed to close in, making him feel trapped, and the cold never let up, draining his energy with each passing minute. Despite these dangers, John pushed on. He'd come too far to turn back now. But as he neared a crucial point in the cave, poor visibility and his bulky gear led to trouble. He moved slower, his rebreather became more of a burden, and the narrow passages made it almost impossible to keep going without getting stuck. In a desperate move to push forward, John took a big risk. He took off his rebreather. He tried to squeeze through a tight spot, holding an air bottle under his arm. But the bottle came loose from his mouthpiece. Panic set in as John frantically tried to reconnect his air supply, but the murky water and tight space made it impossible. Time ticked away, and with it, John's chances of survival. Far from the entrance, alone and without air, John's body started to give up. His breathing got shallow, his movements slow, and soon his vision blurred. The cold, dark waters closed in, and he started to black out. John had gone too far, too deep, and the cave claimed another life. Back at the surface, Charles and John Bonon came out of the cave, only to find their friend missing. Panic set in as minutes passed without any sign of John. Fearing the worst, they called for help and made the tough choice to dive back in to search for him. As they retraced their steps, they found what they dreaded most. John's lifeless body lay trapped under a ledge in the main shaft, 26 meters, 85 feet deep. The cave, once a place of adventure, had turned into a deadly trap. The tragedy hit hard. John's friends were devastated, struggling to come to terms with the loss of their diving buddy. This incident sparked intense debates about cave diving safety. Many questioned the use of complex equipment in such tight spaces, while others emphasized the need for better training and preparation. John's death served as a grim warning to all cave divers. Tauna Cave sits about a mile from Arch Springs, Pennsylvania, shrouded in mystery. Originally called Arch Spring Cave, this underground maze has been part of local history since the 1750s, when European settlers first came to Sinking Valley. Local stories tell of Native Americans fleeing into the cave after killing 2 settlers. The Native Americans might have found another way out or died inside. No one has found another entrance, leading to ideas about a hidden escape route. Many people think a secret tunnel might link the cave to Arch Spring, about a quarter-mile away. Locals used to believe someone could escape capture by diving into the cave and slipping out through this hidden passage. No one has found proof of this idea, but the story lives on, adding to the cave's reputation as a mysterious and dangerous place. The cave's legend grew over time. Early descriptions talk about a narrow opening in a hillside that opens into a series of tunnels and rooms. These passages are hard to navigate, but if done right, explorers can reach a large chamber deep in the cave. Here, water rushes into a whirlpool so strong it pulls anything caught in it into what seems like a bottomless pit. In recent years, people tried twice to turn Tauna Cave into a tourist spot. In 1947 and 1972, investors attempted to make the cave visitor-friendly. The second try ended badly when a hurricane caused major flooding. Water rushed through the cave, destroying railings, steps, and paths. The damage was so bad that pieces of the project still litter the cave today, adding to its creepy, abandoned feel. visitors often come to see the flood's aftermath, unaware of the hidden dangers inside. The cave stretches 3,500 feet and has several underwater tunnels called sumps. These pose a deadly threat to experienced cave divers and certain death for untrained explorers. The first sump lies 900 feet from the entrance, making the cave relatively safe to explore only up to that point. Beyond that, the risk of getting trapped or lost in the water increases greatly. Despite this danger, the thrill of exploring the unknown keeps drawing adventurers to Tauna Cave. Some hope for fame by discovering a new passage, while others simply crave the excitement and mystery. From 1984 to 1986, John Schweyen and Jim Brown, two skilled cave divers, took on Tauna Cave. They aimed to find a link to Arch Spring that others had missed. With better gear, they went deeper than anyone before. They found the fourth sump, a big, risky underwater tunnel dropping 80 feet deep. But they ran low on air and hit a wall they couldn't pass. They had to turn back. Not ready to quit, John and Jim tried from the Arch Spring side. It was riskier and less explored, but they hoped for a new path. They found a sump right at the entrance. They pushed on and hit a second sump matching Tauna Cave's water levels. It was long, deep, and hard to see in. John went down and found a tunnel 100 feet deep, way deeper than expected. But it was too dangerous to keep going. Poor visibility, cold water, and decompression needs made it impossible. They'd have to plan another dive when it was safer. John, from Glen Rock, New Jersey, was no rookie to tough cave dives. He was known for careful planning and determination. When Roberta Swisegood asked him to join her Tauna Cave trip, he jumped at the chance. Roberta had spent 4 years trying to prove Tauna Cave and Arch Spring were connected. John was eager to help solve this mystery. Roberta was a pioneer in cave exploration. At 36, she'd made a name for herself with successful dives in Puerto Rico, the Bahamas, and across the US. Roberta had already dived Tauna Cave 3 times, getting close to proving the Arch Spring connection. The pair geared up for their dive, double-checking their equipment. They knew the risks, but felt ready for the challenge. As they entered the cave, the cool air hit their faces. The darkness swallowed them whole as they moved deeper. Their lights cut through the gloom, revealing the cave's jagged walls and treacherous drops. They reached the first sump and plunged in. The water was ice cold and murky. They relied on touch more than sight, feeling their way through the narrow passages. Each turn brought new challenges: tight squeezes, sudden drops, and swirling currents that threatened to pull them off course. Hours passed as they pushed further into the cave. They mapped new areas, inching closer to their goal. But the cave seemed endless, full of twists and dead ends. Their air supplies dwindled, forcing them to make tough choices. They knew they were close, but the cave wasn't giving up its secrets easily. On June 19, 1988, John and Roberta launched their final push to connect the cave with Arch Spring. Their plan was straightforward. John would lead, laying a new dive line in Sump 2. Roberta would follow, taking measurements and surveying. At 1 p.m., John entered the cave and made for Sump 2. The water was cloudy with poor visibility, but he pushed on. He set up a new dive line and marked 2 spots where they might break through. Roberta dove in at 2:50 p.m., set on finishing her part. She followed John's line, measuring and checking for ways through the blockage. As she squeezed through tight spots, her suit tore on the jagged rocks. She kept going, knowing cold water would seep in and make things tougher. Deeper in, Roberta got tangled in the dive line. In the murky water, this was bad news. Silt clouds made it even harder to see. Her buoyancy compensator acted up, making it tough to stay in place. With no choice, she cut the line to free herself. Now, Roberta was in real trouble. Untethered and blind, she'd lost her lifeline. Her chances of finding the way out were slim. She swam hard, searching for the other dive line to safety. But it wasn't there. Time was running out, and her air was low. The cold water seeping into her torn suit brought on hypothermia. She knew she had to get out fast, but with zero visibility and no line, things looked grim. At 6:15 p.m., John started to worry outside the cave. Roberta should have surfaced by now. He went to town for more batteries, then entered the cave to look for her. When he couldn't find her, he called the state police and kicked off a rescue mission. The rescue team faced a race against time, battling the same treacherous conditions that had trapped Roberta. Every minute counted as they pushed deeper into the cave's twisting passages. As hours ticked by, the rescuers' determination grew. They knew the odds were stacking against them, but they refused to give up. They methodically searched every nook and cranny, aware that Roberta's life hung in the balance. The rescue effort drew national attention. News crews gathered at the cave entrance, broadcasting updates to a worried public. Fellow cavers and divers from across the country offered their help, bringing specialized equipment and expertise to the search. Renowned cave diver Bill Stone stepped in to lead the rescue team. They hoped Roberta had found an air pocket and was waiting for help. The team searched relentlessly, but John found Roberta's body on June 20th, just 10 feet from the safety line. She had been so close to escaping, but got disoriented and swam the wrong way. Recovering her body took days due to the cave's narrow, jagged passages. Finally, 6 divers, in teams of 2 and 3, brought her to the surface. Though Roberta's story ended tragically, her impact on cave exploration and diving safety lives on. Her drive to solve Tauna Cave's connection to Arch Spring was unmatched. The diving community she loved still honors her legacy.